Hey there, Libra. Let's have a look at your ascendant forecast for the week ahead, going from Monday, the 8th of December, right the way through to Sunday, the 14th of December 2025. Now, in this week ahead, we've got the ending of the autumn pattern really coming up, really strong. So there are some endings. We've got Uranus in his very last opposition to Mercury, which is again ending this feeling of revelation. So it'll be interesting to see how that shows up. We've got Neptune going direct. It's been retrograde since the 4th of July. So this is going to be interesting. It's going direct at the very last degree of the zodiac. That's again indicating the end of a really long cycle and a story in the beginning of a new one. And we've also got Mercury going into the sign of Sagittarius. So there's some interesting things. In many ways, this is really picking up on the forecast of last week. And if you watch that, you'll know that I was talking about how the full moon was really emphasizing some of the difficulty that you've been experiencing about kind of breaking free on your own and coming into your own context on life. Like your consciousness has been shifting for such a long time and you might have felt a little bit separate from people. So yeah, we're going to be exploring that as well too. So what I'm going to do is take you through the patterns from Monday the 8th to Sunday the 14th and just see where that leads. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. And as ever, I'm going to start by just giving out some thanks to the people that support my channel, whether it's historical, whether it's regular or through membership. I really thank you. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. I'm using two charts to talk about what's going on in the week ahead. The first one starts, at midnight on the, right at the start of Monday the 8th, and this is based in a London time zone because I'm sat in the same time zone as London. And then you'll see at the start the moon is in the top of your chart in the sign of Cancer in the 10th house. Then as we come to the end of this forecast period, the moon is in your first house. And that's on this is the chart for like midnight, right at the end of the day on the 14th, again from a London time zone. So you'll see that it's moving from the 10th house until the first house. You'll also see that you'll also see that Mercury goes from the sign of Scorpio and into the sign of Sagittarius. So there's some few changes, and you'll see right at the end as well, Mars right at the bottom is getting ready to go into the sign of Capricorn. So we're talking about that in the following week. Anyway, let's get going on this. So as we come into this week ahead, the moon is literally just about to go into the sign of Leo. And for you, Leo is in the 11th house. I should just say, actually, if when you look at this chart, this is using a whole sign Western tropical methodology or model. If when you look at your birth chart, you see the symbol for Libra and also the symbol for Scorpio in your first house, and this is the wedge that represents the first house, then you might also find the Scorpio forecast helpful. So just bear that in mind. But anyway, the moon right at the start of this week is heading into the sign of Leo. And it's the 11th house. This is a time when we tend to feel a lot more social, a lot more connected to people, really wanting to kind of be playful. We're creating something and it feels like we're really, I don't know, into something. I always get the sense that there's a vision going on. There's something that's coming out of our heart space. And, it's like my heart space, your heart space, that heart space over there. We're all coming together. There's a sort of co-creation. I really love the 11th house from that perspective. And, on the 9th, the moon is still heading through there. But what you'll also find is Mars is coming into quite a challenging square to Saturn. So Mars is down here in the 3rd house, which again is a very social house. This is a place where, you take action in your local community. This is a place where you might be very busy. You might be turning things around. You might be transforming things. And where Mars is connecting, he's connecting in a square to Saturn in your 6th house. To me, it feels like you're ready to take action on something, and yet there's something in your life saying, no, you can't do that. And so it's like you're wanting to move forwards, and there's a kind of slap on the wrist. That kind of hurt a little bit. Saturn often shows us our internalized authority figures, or where we turn somebody in our life into an authority figure. And they probably aren't, it's like where we've got a bit of an authority complex. And so you may well feel like you're getting your wrist slapped a little bit. You're wanting to take action, and yet you feel like you can't move. So it's a bit difficult. It feels a little bit like you're stuck in place. And that's also interesting because during that time, the moon's in the 11th house. It's a time when it's a time when people are wanting to co-create with you. So it's an interesting one. I don't know what you might do with that. I think if I was in your shoes, I might choose to take the lead of the people wanting to co-create with me, because that way you're going on their flow, you're going on their energy, and it might actually take you further. It might take you off in a slightly new realization, and I think that can be quite helpful, rather than coming up against a harsh no or a feeling like you're getting pushed back. So you might just want to step back a little bit and observe what's going on and just see how that lands with you. From the 10th, which is Wednesday, the moon is coming into your 12th house, and it's going to be there through the 10th. You'll see there's 3 things I've listed there. And then also on the 11th, it's still in the sign of Virgo. And again, there's another 3 things that are of interest. So I do think when the moon is in the sign of Virgo and in your 12th house, there's a lot going on. So first of all, we've got this last opposition to Uranus, which I mentioned at the start. And this is happening through your 2nd to the 8th house. Uranus in the 8th house, I think, is really showing you the surprises, the uncovering of sharp new realities and realizations and revelations about your family history, about how you can manifest with the people around you and manage your shared resources. It's not always comfortable. Uranus in the 8th house is very uncomfortable. Lots of things can come up. It's quite a psychological house. It's a house sometimes with shadows and things that are a little bit hidden, so things can really come up. And with Mercury in your 2nd, you're really trying to stick to what you know and celebrate what you know. In fact, it almost feels like, no, this is my mind for you, thank you very much. And then there's something coming out from over there, like from a family member or something, and it's like shocking you in terms of the consciousness. So I think there's some things revelatory that are coming up, and I think you'll be able to lay it to rest a little bit. This isn't the first time these two have been in opposition this year. Over the last 40 days, they've been in close communion, really. So I see you're coming to the end of this pattern. You're resolving something. Now, on this day as well, Neptune is going direct in your 6th house. Now, this is going to be helpful because, he's been retrograde since the 4th of July. And as such, it's almost felt like your health has been a little bit difficult. You've maybe not had as much energy as usual. And you might, because you've not felt completely in your game, you've probably also felt that it's difficult to get going. It's difficult to keep your routine, like things have fallen by the wayside a little bit. And you might not have felt as accountable to yourself even. And so I do think that as Neptune goes direct, and the full revelation of what you need to know about in terms of how you're managing your finance with your partner, for instance, I just think that the veil is lifting, the fog is lifting, the fog is clearing. Things are just getting clearer by the moment. And so this is beneficial. Now, during this time, the moon is in your 12th house. This is a place where you're not actively going out and doing anything. You're kind of reflecting. You're sitting back a little bit. You're not really wanting to do anything too social. You're just kind of wanting to take your time, which I wholeheartedly recommend. And then on Thursday the 11th, we've got Venus in a T square with the nodes. Now, we had a similar T-square with the Sun just the week before, and Mars just a bit before then. And so this is interesting. You've got the North Node really encouraging you to renovate your health and get a new kind of routine that's going to work in a different way. It's creating a new story for yourself. Maybe you need to tighten up your ideas about yourself and not tell stories of being unhealthy or not organized or whatever it is you're saying to yourself. And, you know, with the South Node in the 12th house, I think it's time to let go of a lot of belief systems that you've held on to, clung on to a little bit. And it's interesting because, you know, with Venus in the 3rd house, you might have found that you've learned who you are through your reputation. Like people have said, oh, look, there's old Libra over there. Look at them. They're so reliable, or whatever it is that you're living by the reputation of. When in actual fact, it's feeling a bit like a prison. You're like, no, I don't want to have my reputation dictated by people outside of my actual direct experience. I'm ready to know who I am through the action I'm taking. And I'm going to do this a bit differently. So I think, you know, this is quite a reflective time between the 10th and the 11th. Lots of stuff's coming up. And I'm also thinking you're taking full responsibility for who you are claiming to be and the stories that you're holding. You know, you're writing your stories, you're not allowing other people to write them for you. There you go. And then on the 11th as well, which is Thursday, Mercury makes a beautiful trine to Neptune. And it feels like you've got a different awareness of yourself, a more forgiving, a more generous version of yourself. And you'll see we've got this lovely grand trine still taking place, but actually we're moving away from it. You know, Mercury is about to come out of that pattern. It's not quite that. He's just right on the cusp here. And so to me, this is you coming into this new realization about yourself, which is kinder. And then finally, Mercury gets into Sagittarius. So yeah, this is a drifting, dreamy time between the 10th and the 11th. But as Mercury goes into the sign of Sagittarius, you're ready to bring a new story, a new sort of creativity. I think you're sort of creating a new identity for yourself. And from that come the stories. And maybe, you know, as Mercury comes in, you're going to be telling people about who you really are rather than waiting for them to say who you are. I think that's so important. And then we're coming up to Friday the 12th, taking us through to Sunday the 14th. And during that time, that's when the moon is going through your 1st house. Now, when this happens on Friday the 12th, you should find that you're starting to feel a lot more in your body, a lot more in your emotions. You tend to wear your heart on your sleeve when the moon goes through the 1st house. I know I get kind of irritable because I just really... I'm so hyper aware of what's going on for me. So I don't know if that's how it is for you as well. But on the 13th, we've got this lovely energy between Mercury and Pluto. They're in a sextile, and it feels like you've got a very sort of penetrating insight. It's like you can really see what's going on, and you're really seeing new patterns and connections for yourself, which I think is exciting. And then finally on Sunday the 14th, we've got Mars in a square to Neptune this time. So earlier it was in a square to Saturn. Now it's in an exact square to Neptune. And this is a tricky aspect. It's one where we often feel like the wind has come out of our sails. It's like we're ready to take action. We're ready to do something. And then all of a sudden the energy just completely vanishes. And you could become a little bit disillusioned and a little bit... disenchanted, and it's almost like a micro depression. You know, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm not feeling anything. Where's my power gone? But it's also working with the sun in a trine to Chiron on that day. And this is the last aspect actually that I really want to talk about, the sun trine Chiron, because the sun down here is warming you up and connecting you into your relationships. And here, this is Chiron in your 7th house is really encouraging you to be vulnerable with the people around you, to kind of let them know what's going on, not to hide things away, not to plot without them knowing what's going on. This is encouraging you to just come clean and say, you know what, there's a new me, or whatever it is that's going on for you. And so on Sunday, I really feel like you're, if someone's saying, oh yeah, you're wearing your emotions on your sleeve, you're so emotional, you might say, yeah, actually, I'm really feeling things right now. And I want to share with you that this is what's going on for me. So I see that the more you can be vulnerable and open, the easier things are going to be. And as you can see, we've moved out of this big pattern and this opposition. And as we start the next week, there's a whole new kind of constellation emerging. So hopefully that's helpful to you. If you like the way I look at charts, Libra, then you might want to consider joining my membership. I've got a community where I do forecast Monday to Friday. I also do a weekly forecast on love and one on career for all 12 signs of the zodiac, which you might also find helpful. I also do hangouts. There's a moon ceremony that we do as well. And from January, there's also going to be classes that you don't have to go to, but you can pop in and bring your chart with you, and we'll be discussing things from a different perspective. So there's all that there. But if you're wanting to work on your birth chart in a whole new way, then why not join my astrological mentorship? There's limited places and it's a one-on-one experience. But if you want to work with me on a monthly basis where I really drill down into your chart and we examine it from a whole new perspective in a way that's going to help you move forwards in your life, then just get in touch. All of my details are below in the show notes, and also you can find them on the channel page too. So wishing you an amazing week ahead. Have a great one and catch up with you real soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.